It's not about just cooking your best barbecue you normally cook. It's about cooking the best barbecue you ever cooked on this platform. You gotta understand the judge is just going with one bite. So I gotta make sure I'm punching that judge in their tonsils first bite, first effort.
The American Royal World Series of Barbecue is the world's largest barbecue contest with 505 teams here this year.
It really is a royalty element to it. Like, there are barbecue gods that are here. It's massive.
I'm Phil the Grill, the Jay-Z of barbecue. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona at the American Royal for the 5th year in a row. This is where I come and show what I'm really worth in the barbecue industry.
My name's Jim Osborn. Our team is Bluebird Barbecue Crew.
My name's Katie Osborn. I'm his wife.
We actually won the Australian Championship. That kind of propelled us into getting an invitation to compete here. And so to be able to then be at an event like the Royal is really humbling in a lot of ways. We're competing in the 4 categories, which are the chicken, pork ribs, pork shoulder, and brisket.
There are awards in each of the individual categories. The way the judges score barbecue is from 9 to 5, and then there's a 2 if it's inedible, and then there's 1 as a disqualification. We judge on appearance, taste, and tenderness.
If I just focus on all 4 meat groups and I can just do the top 50 in each category, I think I'll be the next crown person bringing a robe home.
So our process when we get here is basically trimming and prepping everything, which is the night before the invitational. This is for our pork category, our money muscle prep. You can almost see the outline of it. The money muscle, it's got really good marbling through it. They're only maybe 1.5 inches in diameter, which means that the cook is a lot quicker on them. What we're going to do is get the cling wrap to shape it. What it's going to do is round this and push this in, and we should get a more even shape all the way through. We'll inject through that all-purpose wrap and then puff it up inside there and keep it in shape right up until we're ready to rub it and then put it onto the smoker. Next, we're going to be looking at doing pork injection into our shoulder. This is pretty much just like a really savory mix of different flavors. You'll see the injection just kind of swell the meat a little bit as it goes through. It's pushing those meat connections or muscle tissue connections apart, so it's stretching them a little bit, which starts to mean that it's actually kind of tenderizing a little bit as well as you go.
So I got some pork butts that I got all trimmed up. My best part of the pork butt is right here. Money muscle is definitely the filet mignon of pork. They're called money muscle for a reason. This is a injection I use. I like smoky on the wheels. That will help break down a lot of this protein. In pork, I am going to do a lot more money muscle. I think that's a thing I've been seeing in a lot of people's box. They've been adding a lot more money muscle. So that money muscle has a lot of the marbling and the fat, and when that cooks in, it just flavors that particular part of the meat a lot better, and it's really tender. I remember my first American Royal, and I got a 2nd place call in pork. And when I heard my name, I remember when the lady was like, "Oh, we got 2nd place, and it's Phil." I was like, man, who else's name is Phil? And I was like, Phil the Grill. I was like, oh my goodness. And that just let me know I am building flavors and layering flavors and putting together a good product. I'm gonna start prepping and injecting for some brisket here. Snake River Farms, Wagyu Gold. You can tell by that marble, all those nice little streamlines going down. That's sexy right there. In this box is my new rubs that I'm showcasing this year. This has Worcestershire, butter, garlic, salt, pepper, and a little jalapeno. This could go good or bad for me using a new rub because they're not used to it. A little nervous because I am being risky, because why not do something that you already know you won with? Making sure that we are giving that judge that flavor in one bite. I got these gonna go into my Canberra with some ice, and this will rest to 4 o'clock.
These briskets are +9 Wagyu. They're bred in Australia. They're grain-fed for up to 300 days. The reason that we brought over our Australian briskets is just because we're a lot more familiar with cooking them. Brisket's kind of the category that everyone wants to win. It's like you want to do your best at that one. That's where you really want to shine. We'll be looking at injecting them this evening around 7 o'clock. Then we'll be looking at resting them overnight with that injection.
So this is a chicken stock and some of my secret seasonings. I got a butter profile in there. I got a little chipotle profile in there, little honey profile in there. So I'm gonna brine my chicken, then I'm gonna inject it, then season it and get it ready for the grill. The biggest thing with chicken is getting that bite through skin. You gotta make sure that the skin stays on the chicken and doesn't slap you in the face.
So for the chicken, we'll be cooking what Australians call Marylands, but you guys call quarters. It's the thigh and connected leg piece. So I'll separate it off part of the spine here, get it free there so that I've got all this exposed, which then allows me to get in and trim. What I'm then looking for is just to try to get rid of anything that is unwanted. We're just gonna come in under this leg here and just take away that silver skin as well. I'm gonna just quickly give this skin a quick jacquard underneath. Then we're going to bring it back across the top of the chicken. One, it makes for a nicer bite because there's already little perforations, which means when someone bites into it, it's already started to separate. We're going to put them away in the fridge with the rest of them, and then we'll be looking to rub them around 8:30.
I got some St. Louis ribs I already got trimmed down here. What I try to do to make my ribs and my food stand out is be different. There's nobody really following my flavor profiles. And I like savory, I like sweet. So I'm mixing and matching different flavors like cumin and allspice, sazon, sofrito. Those are flavors that a lot of these barbecue guys are not even thinking about out here. A lot of the nice back home flavors I grew up with. You know, being from New York, we're not really known for barbecue, but you know, I put all of these flavors that I grew up with, know and love, and I bringing it to Kansas City. I'm gonna leave this sitting in its own injection in this first layer of rub overnight, and I'm gonna probably start waking them up around 6 o'clock. That's it, let's get a cold one going, baby. It's been a long day, it's gonna be a longer tomorrow. Got to get up probably, I'm gonna get up around 3. I only got like 2 smokers and a pellet smoker, so I wanna make sure my timelines is on point, get my long meats on, and see you in the morning. You know, I party all the time when I come out here. I gotta show up, it's great. But then when you get back to your camp, in your tent, I have to dial in, so then that's when the pressure is in.
It's about 7:20 at the moment, and at this stage we've wrapped up our pork butt that's been in since about 9 o'clock last night. On our black drum, we've already got our briskets rolling, so they went on around 5:30, and we're just spinning those every about half an hour and just making sure we keep them from getting in any real hot spots. I'm actually just going to temp this real quick. That's sitting about 180 Fahrenheit. I might want to push that a little bit.
I am looking at temperature, but I'm also feeling. And what I want to feel is that warm butter, like you're just touching air, no tension. That's what I want to feel. They're feeling real good. I'm going to push them a little longer, but they're feeling good. They're feeling awesome. Woo, yeah.
So this drum's coming back up now, so it's ready for chicken at 9:30. It's amazing, like once chicken goes in, the day starts to get quite real, quite fast, because the chicken's gonna be your first hand in, and it's kind of also the shortest cook, so once you get to that point, you know it's on.
So I got them in a brine. They've been injected from yesterday as well. Started brining them this morning. So I'm gonna go over it with just a garlic, salt, pepper. Since I'm using a fruit rub with a little jalapeno, I don't want it to be too spicy, but that's why I'm going over the back side. I'm gonna use mine on the front side and the edges. And I'm gonna put them in this smaller pan here and get them ready for the smoker.
So we're going into this white at about 325, and we're just gonna go straight down the middle here, but we're also going down to the second level. Basically, we've got them under fairly intense heat for the next 15.
I'll start cutting my butter slices. I'm gonna add that, do a butter bath. We all kind of cook the same with certain techniques. When you find somebody doing something and you steal their technique, then we call it shigging. That goes on a lot. It's all in great fun. For me, chicken has not been my fan favorite recently. So I need to make sure my chicken is excelente. We got 9:30, chicken is about to go on. So I'm going to wrap these first, give it its butter bath, cut through that skin. But you don't want to do it too long, too much, and then it becomes mushy.
So the ribs we'll inject early on Saturday morning. Just an hour before cook, we'll a little bit of binder, a little bit of rub, and let that adhere. I'm just removing any excess injection off these ribs. Then we're gonna just apply like a really light layer of rub to the bottom of these ribs. This white lightning, which is kind of just like a salt and pepper rub. So this will kind of build on our savory flavors. While we're trying to build flavor, if we go too heavy on a lot of these rubs, we'll end up being really cakey, and then it won't kind of bind as much as just sit on top of the meat. Then will mean that we won't have as good a cook on them. I'm just gonna take these oak chunks and just pop them into the charcoal there. This will give us a nice little hit of smoke initially. Katie's always on to me about not rushing things and just sticking to the game plan. Yeah, these definitely need to be rubbed.
Now?
Yep, 100%. They've caramelized out, but they've also set that bark really nicely. So we're just putting a little bit of bone broth in with the wrap. This is just to help the liquid within these wraps doesn't reduce out to a point where it starts to burn within.
Yo, it's your boy Phil the Grill out at the American Royal. Let's see what we do today. Look, All right, let's see what's the ribs doing. So I'm just getting a little apple juice going on these ribs. So it's kind of like the same thing as basting. So this will start cooking into the meat while the smoke is hitting around it. Keeps that moisture in.
So what we're just doing now is just setting up to basically wrap all our ribs. All I'm gonna do is just work my fingers in between the bones and just try to help start that pull. It'll just kind of get that bone out from anything that might be catching it and stopping it from pushing out. By putting quite a bit of stuff into this rib wrap, what we actually do is start forming up the sauce that we'll be using to baste the ribs with. Pour in just a smidge of this peach string. After 20 minutes, as they are now, we'll be looking to flip them over and then have the bone side down to protect that meat.
All right, I'm gonna wrap ribs. I like to add bacon grease. A lot of people use butter. So last year, I did something different with my ribs, you know, right there on the fly. And that's why they call me the Jay-Z, the freestyle barbecuers, right? I put bacon grease in my wrap, you know, and I came in the top 5 in ribs last year out of 600 something teams. Bacon fat has been my staple for the swap out for butter. And being that it's from the same family, pork, you're just giving back the same flavor that came out of it. Add a little more sweetener, brown sugar. Going to add a syrup, an apple cherry syrup. Add a little bit of my new rub back in that baby right there. Yes, sir. Okay. All right, so I'm looking for ribs, bones starting to expose. I want to make sure they pop, so I'm squeezing in between the bones. Then I'm going to just wrap. And this is going to be the braising technique to getting these ribs done.
Okay, so the chicken's great. This is kind of what we want to see. You can see they've actually swollen here and they've set their side. To be honest, they're a little bit ahead of where I was expecting, so I'm just gonna give them another 5 minutes and then we'll look to move across into a tray. We're just setting up this tray so that we can transfer the chicken from the rack, and then from this tray, we'll baste it a little bit with butter just to kind of continue the skin along. So these have puffed up really, really nicely. I actually quite like the color that it's given them as well. It should mean that when we're gonna get towards the end of the cook, it'll be nice and rich in color. What I'm doing here is just making sure I baste all the skin, and just, this will help to continue that transfer of heat through that skin and hopefully to tenderize it a little bit. What's really good is that the rub hasn't washed away as I've done that, which means it's set well when we've cooked. So I'm gonna come back into here. All right, so I'm just gonna give those another moment or two.
Let's concern ourselves with the chicken right now, though. We gotta go in for it because we ain't got a lot of time.
That was a very good, clean bite. It's definitely picking up the hint of smoke you put on it.
Yeah, that last bit of smoke.
Yeah, that's delicious.
When it comes down to boxing, you know, super stressful. That's where I really rely on my wife. I did the perfect cook. It's like she's the field goal kicker that comes in, you know, to win the game.
All right. All right, so I'm just gonna grab this chicken. Like, I feel really, really good about this chicken at the moment. Hopefully it feels good about me. Yeah, I'm just gonna really quickly try one and just make sure that it's not horrifyingly bad. I think that one's a real no.
Let's do them.
Okay.
Yeah? So chicken's a bit of a funny one. We're trialing something that we've never done before, and that's where we're actually gonna put the chicken in first and then parsley as kale as we go. Because the Marylands is so bloody big, we're just sort of trying to minimize the amount of rise they have in the box. Give us the best chances of getting the thick boys actually in the box without touching the top. Days are invested in this, and it's very difficult to look at something or taste something and know if it's not good enough for the box.
It is really good working as a team like that. As Katie's saying, like, sometimes I'll be just too invested in it and I'll just be like, no, I really want this in the box, but she'll be like, it's just not making it. Like, it's just not as good as this other element.
Putting your perfect cook in a box, that's your child's first day of school. You want them to be all nice, clean cut, the nice, clean clothes, nice, crisp, you know, t-shirt on and everything. You know Jimmy's gonna come back, you know, tore up, but you want that first impression to be it, you know? So when they open the box, it's like, voila! All right, we good.
Okay, this is it. I'm off.
All right,
Winning box.
let's get it.
Woohoo!
Our turn-in times last 10 minutes long. They're every 30 minutes for the 4 categories. Chicken is noon, ribs are 12:30, pork is 1 o'clock, and brisket is 1:30. When that clock hits 12:05, you're late and you're disqualified. The only exception is, especially at a contest like this, we say that if you're in line to turn in, because at a contest like the American Royal, there are hundreds of people trying to turn in at the same time. So if you're in line to turn in and the clock turns 12:05, you're fine. If you're still making steps to get in line, then you're disqualified for being late. Mouthfeel is important. When we talk about chicken, chicken's always going to have some body. I don't think I've ever had a piece of chicken that's too tender, but you definitely have some stuff that's too tough. In chicken, it's kind of important because if it's too tough, it also means it's probably undercooked. Nobody wants to sample undercooked chicken.
Get the ribs out, getting them ready for the box. I'm actually looking for the ribs that with the fattier cavity, right? So those are the ones that I'm gonna be picking out to put in my box.
As I now remove my ribs, giving them a little sweet hit underneath the sauce. Also, it'll kind of make the rib a little bit tackier. The other thing that it kind of allows me to do is just check, and as I'm brushing on, how set that rub is. I just don't want to find that I'm gonna pull it all off as I go. So going in, so I'm going in these ones. Yeah, can you pivot? Can you turn the whole box around, please?
This way or the other way?
No, like all the way around, all the way around. Yeah, so that's it there. Sorry.
It's all good.
Are you happy?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. We'll just get a quick picture and then you're good.
A stack here, and then a stack overlaying on top of them.
All right.
Yeah, I can't see anything different. Yeah, yep, we got it.
So taste on ribs, I mean, honestly, you want a rib you can taste a little bit of smoke. You want a rib that still has some moisture. You want a rib that's tender. Beyond that, probably a little sweetness, a little savory, maybe even a little heat.
Now we're gonna work on our pork shoulder and pulling out a bit of pulled pork. Basically, we've got the fat cap that's really rendered. It's this meat that's just under the fat cap that we really want to get hold of. You can see how juicy and how nice the strands are already for it. A lot of guys refer to it as the bacon, even though it's not bacon. Within our pork box, we'll be looking to have kind of 3 different elements. These little chunks are pulled, and then some really nice round medallions. The reason that we like to put a couple of different cuts in the box is that it's more visually appealing to have a few different elements in a box where people open it up and they're like, oh, look at that, I've got options. It pushes us to be versatile, I suppose.
3 minutes before you gotta go. All right, just wipe that front. That's how it's going. Last one, baby. Brisket. Let's see what these burnt ends are looking like today. Cutting into brisket, you want to get the fattier part of that brisket slice, but I also have to monitor how much au jus and how much sauce, because it's Kansas City. I know they like a lot of sauce out here, so it's gonna be different. So I got some beef au jus in with my barbecue sauce. I'm just trying to get caramelization on those burnt ends if I'm gonna put them in there.
I've kind of pushed the briskets as high as I think I'm gonna get them internally. So now I'm just gonna try just slicing across it and just get a feel for where it's at. So what the judge is gonna do is do a hang test. So they're gonna see how the brisket hangs, whether there's any tightness so that it stays out like that. This is pretty good, I think. And then they'll do a pull test, so how easily that brisket comes away from the other bit. And lastly, they'll taste it. I think we might just go straight in, actually.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, so do you want to just, are you going to take these or am I taking them?
I can take them.
Okay. Yep. Yep, that top one. So you can take both.
All right, 2, 4, 6. We're giving 6 slices. I don't know, that tub. I'm going with that one.
125. OJ, we're all walking for this. Hurry up, shoes on. In your area. Looking snazzy. Can you just do this one again?
Just in that corner there.
Yeah, that's it. That's better.
We're done.
We're done, baby. So proud of you though, babe.
We instruct the judges to pick up a slice of brisket, and it should pull apart somewhere near the middle, and then you're instructed to sample that brisket from where it pulled apart, because that's probably the most tender point of it. Once we're done judging, and they write their scores on a card, when the whole table's done, we collect those cards, review them, make sure everybody's got the right information, and then they go off to tabulation, where we have a group of folks keying in those scores and help them sort out their results and award their winners.
And our 2023 overall Open Grand Champion is going to be receiving some incredible stuff. The iconic American Royal Trophy and a Grand Champion ring. But not only that, they are receiving $15,000. But now it's time for the winner. Can I get a drum roll, please? With a perfect 180, we have Maddie Max!
So today wasn't our day, but that's okay. I really enjoy being part of this barbecue community, and it's amazing who we get to meet and who we get to interact with while we're here. So really, the experience is what's been worthwhile for us.
Everybody wants to see you do your best. Of course, we got bragging rights. We can say we cooked the best because we got the trophies to show it. It's not like we're trying to wish bad on each other or trying to hurt one another. It's about who cooks the best barbecue and gets up there on stage, and that's what it's about.